Dotland Media breaking news. Hello viewers. If you haven't subscribed to Dotland Media channel, now is the time to do so. Become a member and stay updated on the latest news and critical developments. Also, don't forget to share our videos so that others can stay informed too. Tinubu swears in Igboho Ibas as Rivers State sole administrator. In a dramatic turn of events, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has officially sworn in Igboho Ibas as the sole administrator of Rivers State, following the suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. The brief but significant ceremony took place at approximately 3 p.m. and was attended by key government officials, including the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, San. President Tinubu's decision to suspend Governor Fubara and his administration comes amid a prolonged political crisis in Rivers State. According to Tinubu, the situation has paralyzed governance, prompting him to take drastic action. With the crisis persisting, democratic governance, which we have all fought and worked for over the years, cannot thrive in a way that benefits the good people of the state. The state has been at a standstill since the crisis began, preventing its residents from enjoying the dividends of democracy. The president blamed Governor Fubara for demolishing the Rivers State House of Assembly, describing the action as unjustifiable. He further stated that various interventions by prominent figures had failed to resolve the crisis, leaving him with no choice but to act. It is public knowledge that the governor of Rivers State, for unjustifiable reasons, demolished the House of Assembly as far back as December 13, 2023, and has yet to rebuild it, even after 14 months. I have personally intervened between the contending parties to facilitate a peaceful resolution, but my efforts have been largely ignored. I am also aware that many well-meaning Nigerians, leaders of thought, and patriotic groups have made similar attempts, all to no avail. Nonetheless, I thank them. Tinubu further accused Governor Fubara of unconstitutional acts and a blatant disregard for the rule of law. He referenced a recent Supreme Court ruling, saying, "On February 28, 2025, the Supreme Court delivered a judgment on about 8 consolidated appeals concerning the political crisis in Rivers State. The court, based on the grave unconstitutional acts and disregard for the rule of law committed by the governor, evidenced before it, pronounced its ruling in very clear terms. The president emphasized that a government cannot function without all 3 arms in place, arguing that Fubara's actions have effectively dismantled the state legislature. A government cannot be said to exist without all 3 arms of government functioning under the 1999 Constitution, as amended. In this case, the head of the executive arm has deliberately collapsed the legislature to enable him to govern without legislative oversight, effectively ruling as a despot. As it stands, there is no functioning government in Rivers State." Before declaring the state of emergency, Tinubu accused Fubara of failing to disown militants who had allegedly threatened to destroy oil pipelines in the state. Some militants have threatened fire and brimstone against the governor's perceived enemies, yet he has not disowned them. Apart from that, both the House of Assembly and the governor have failed to work together. Neither seems to realize that they are in office to serve the peace and good governance of the state. Rivers. Tinubu has committed impeachable offense, Reuben Abati. Veteran journalist and former presidential media advisor Dr. Reuben Abati has strongly condemned President Tinubu's decision, stating that the president has committed an impeachable offense.
Okay, very quickly. Let me first come in from an interpretation of the Constitution, which the president himself highlighted. He said he was acting within the purview of Section 305 of the Constitution. Section 305 of the Constitution explains the circumstances under which the president shall declare a state of emergency. And the conditions are properly stated. If the country is facing a threat of war or imminent war, is Nigeria facing the threat of war in Rivers State? That's one question. It also talks about, a situation whereby something could happen in any part of the federation where, Nigeria could find itself in a chaotic situation. The president is required to act. Number 3, where the governor in that particular state does not immediately respond, to the crisis situation and does not approach the president to act in the national interest. So those conditions are properly spelled out. However, that same section 305 says that the president, will give a proclamation which will be gazetted, and then will go to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly, if it's in session within, I think, 48 hours, would act. If it's in recess, within 10 days, will act. If the National Assembly does not consider that particular proclamation, gazetted proclamation, valid, then it will vote otherwise. 2/3 majority of the two houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives, and if that happens, the decision is abated. Okay? Now, because we are constrained by time, let me now say that Section 305, which the President quoted, is the operative principle. Now, let's look at what the President said. I think that the President has violated the Constitution, even within the purview of Section 305. And he has violated the Constitution because he was not properly advised to respect that section of the Constitution. In what regard did he violate that section of the Constitution? In fact, he acted as a dictator by saying that the administrator that he has appointed can make regulations and laws will be made for the Rivers State House of Assembly henceforth by the Federal Executive Council. The Federal Executive Council does not have such powers. Section 11 of the same Constitution says that, look, when there is a state of emergency, it's only the National Assembly that can make laws for a state House of Assembly. Now, President Tinubu has appropriated unto himself the powers to make laws for the Rivers State House of Assembly. That's an impeachable offense. I don't know whether the National Assembly will have the courage either to reject his gazetted proclamation or to proceed on an issue of impeachment against him for violating the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, the other relevant portion of the Constitution is Section 188. Section 188 of the Constitution spells out how a governor can be removed from office. A governor cannot be removed from office by the proclamation of the President of Nigeria. It can only be removed if there is gross misconduct, as put as an allegation by the House of Assembly, and then the CJ is advised to form a panel of reasonable people, people of distinguished qualities in the state. And if that panel now decides, within the purview of Section 188, that those allegations are wrong, that puts an end to that process. The President has not followed that. He has acted unilaterally. Section 1, subsection 2 of the same Constitution says that this country, called Nigeria, cannot be governed except by the provisions of the Constitution. There is no provision in the 1999 Constitution that says that the President of Nigeria can unilaterally remove a governor, remove the deputy governor, remove the legislature of a state in Nigeria. So that proves that this is a violation of the Constitution. I go to the third leg of my analysis, which is to say that who advised the president? The people who advise the president must be called to order. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, is a very distinguished lawyer. I don't understand how Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, arrived at this advice. And I also say that retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, if he's a patriot and a citizen, he must reject this appointment, making him sole administrator of Rivers State, because it is a wrong appointment and his own integrity has been called to order. Whatever may be the motivations, he must act as a citizen and issue a statement forthwith to say that he will not be party to the violation of the Constitution. Now, what argument are they putting up? It has been said that, Obasanjo did this when he was president. After all, he removed Dariye in Plateau, he removed Fayose in Ekiti. Look, at that time, Gumi, SAN, who was Attorney General, was relying, I think, on the 1960 Constitution. The explanation that he offered that the 1960 Constitution and the emergency, the Declaration of State Emergency Act of 1961 allowed the federal government to remove a governor or remove a legislature. Now, it was wrong. Because at the time he was making that statement, with due respect, the operative law in Nigeria was, either it was the 1999 Constitution. So Gumi saying it was 1960 Constitution, 1961 Declaration of Emergency Act was just using political expediency to justify the illegality that President Obasanjo engaged in. And people who are quoting the Obasanjo president must realize that an armed robber cannot say that because one armed robber got away with it, so you also have a right to commit armed robbery. That is wrong. The second point that I would like to make, again with due respect, is that people have been referring to the Jonathan period, that Jonathan declared a state of emergency in about 3 states of the Federation, Adamawa, Borno, I think Yobe. Now, that argument has been settled by Mohammed Bello Adoke, who was Attorney General of that time, in his book, The Burden of Service. I don't remember the specific pages. But as a reviewer of that book, I reviewed that book on the back page of this. I recall that Mohammed Adoke argued that there's nowhere in the Constitution that the president is empowered, that's 1979, 1999 Constitution, that the president is empowered to remove a sitting governor or remove a sitting House of Assembly. And that was why under President Jonathan, no governor was removed, no deputy governor was removed, no state House of Assembly was sacked, no local government chairman was even removed in those 3 states. So the people who are just making argument about president, they are speaking out of ignorance. And I recommend Adoke's book for them to find that explanation.
Speaking on Arise Television's morning show program on Wednesday, Abati argued that a Nigerian governor cannot be removed by a presidential proclamation. He pointed out that Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State violates the Nigerian constitution, even within the purview of Section 305. According to him, the president was not properly advised regarding the constitutional requirements for such an action. Abati also criticized Tinubu for usurping legislative powers, stating, "The president has appropriated unto himself the powers to make laws for the Rivers State House of Assembly. This is an impeachable offense. Tinubu's actions are illegal and cannot stand," Rotimi Amici. Former Rivers State Governor, Chibwik Rotimi Amici, has joined the chorus of opposition against Tinubu's move, calling it a brazen and unilateral act that undermines democracy and violates the Nigerian constitution. In a statement released on Wednesday, Amici said, "At this inauspicious moment in our nation's trajectory, all people of goodwill and conscience should rise to oppose this audacious violation of our constitution and rape of our democracy. Mr. President must be made to know and understand in unmistakable terms that this illegality cannot stand." South-South governors reject emergency rule in Rivers State. The South-South Governors Forum has officially rejected President Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. In a strongly worded statement, the governors argued that the crisis in Rivers State does not meet the constitutional criteria for an emergency declaration under Section 305(3). The political disputes in Rivers State between the governor and the House of Assembly should, ideally, be resolved through legal and constitutional means, rather than by executive fiat. The forum called for the immediate rescission of the state of emergency and urged all parties to engage in dialogue for a peaceful resolution. House of Representatives passes state of emergency rule. Despite the widespread backlash, the House of Representatives has approved President Tinubu's proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State.
Any more contributions? Any more contributions? So we put the question. Are we ready for the question? Are we ready? Those in support of this request of Mr. President as amended should say aye. Aye! Those in support of this request from Mr. President as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. There is have it. Thank you very much.
In addition to endorsing Tinubu's move, the House made the following recommendations. 1. A national committee should be set up to mediate the crisis and restore peace in Rivers State. 2. The National Assembly should take over the activities of the Rivers State House of Assembly for 6 months. Many Nigerians have criticized the lawmakers, accusing them of blindly rubber-stamping executive decisions without proper scrutiny. A netizen commented, "This is beyond disgraceful. It's an insult to democracy, an assault on the rule of law, and a glaring confirmation that the National Assembly is nothing but a glorified extension of the presidency." Sunday Igboho slams Sheik Gumi over miscreant remark. Meanwhile, Yoruba Nation activist Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, has issued a stern warning to Islamic cleric Sheik Ahmed Gumi, cautioning him against making derogatory remarks about the Yoruba self-determination movement. Igboho rejected Gumi's assertion that Yoruba separatists are miscreants and emphasized that their agitation is rooted in Nigeria's worsening insecurity, economic hardship, and systemic governance failures. He insisted that the Yoruba people have a legitimate right to self-determination and called for respect for their aspirations. Stay tuned to Dotland Media News for more updates. Bell subscribe now. Don't forget to like, share, and turn on notifications so you don't miss breaking news.